Welcome back to Python MC. We're going to break some code. Let's get into our range function and let's start breaking the code from the previous section. So we imported time, okay? Let's get rid of that line just by commenting out, and then you'll notice it get a name error. Time.sleep on line 9, it doesn't know what that means. You have to import the time module, and that tells Python what this time concept means, how to use time and how to pause in this case. Let's play around with the arguments in the range function. Let's give it 0 arguments, see what happens. Well, it actually expects at least 1 argument. So the range function, we've seen it with 2 arguments and 3 arguments and 1 argument. It expects at least 1. You have to tell it where to stop. And by default, we'll notice it starts at 0. By default, it starts at 0. If you only give it 1 argument, then that's the end argument that you're giving it. If you go back and you give it, let's say, 3 arguments, then it's telling you where to start, which is the first argument, where to stop, which is the second argument, and how many to skip. If you gave it a 4th, you get this other error, type error, because it only accepts 3 arguments. Let's change this to -1, so it goes back to our perfectly functioning code, counting down from 5, going to 1 up to not including 0. And let's change that to -10. See what happens. Well, the first time it gives the first number, which is a 5, but then the range function will skip 10, so it'll be -5. So that's basically telling it that's way past the end number, which is 0. So it just breaks the loop. It goes to line 10 and it says print liftoff. So it basically skipped 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. It skipped 4, 3, 2, 1 because you told it to jump 10. Similarly, we could go the other direction, starting at 1, ending at 5, so it should go 1 to 4, but you go 20 as the skip. So now it's jumping ahead 20. And so it breaks the loop again because you've exceeded the end argument, which is 5. Okay, so let's see, how else can we break this? We're going to now go back to our code, and in the range function, the argument's there. What if we just deleted the colon? Well, of course it's a for loop. It expects a colon at the end of the sentence, at the end of the line rather, and then you get invalid syntax. Okay, it's a for loop. We've learned this before. You have to end it with a colon. All right, just colon is the 2 dots, right? Now, if we got rid of this time.sleep with the 1 argument, which is number of seconds, you notice it just spits out the numbers all at once. It goes to that loop super, super fast in sort of computer time, which is almost instantaneous. This little time.sleep 1 is saying just pause for a second each time you do the loop. Pretty simple. Now, if we change this variable counter to, let's say, C, you get a name error. It's expecting to see counter all the way through. This is the same thing we've seen before. You got to be consistent in your for loop, be consistent in your code. If you're calling C in one place, you should be consistently calling it C in the other place. Or if you call it counter, be consistent, call it counter everywhere. That's it. See you again on Python MC.